guys. I'm here to do a little book haul. I just got a bunch of books. I was celebrating something, so my reward was getting a couple books that had been on my list. I'm trying to branch out from my normal, reading genres, so got a couple weird ones, so let's get started. So the first book that I have is House of Leaves by Mark Z. Danielewski. I'm assuming that's how that's said. This is such a weird book. It's a beautiful cover. Sort of got these spirals and lines going all over it. This is I don't even know how to describe this. This is in the horror genre. It's really long, as you can see, but it's sort of you can kind of tell it's not really like a normal book. It's mixed media and sort of really bends the bounds of what a book is meant to be. It's definitely interesting concept. The premise is that there is a house that is bigger on the inside than it is on the outside, kind of like the TARDIS, except so that's like one half of it, and then there's this sort of book that chronicles the entire thing, and also chronicles people who discover the book, if I'm to understand correctly. I've started reading it, but I'm only a couple, I think, let's check. Yes, I am one of those assholes that dog ears the pages. I'm only on page 8, but there is like a appendix, or which perfect, an introduction. That's a couple pages, so probably like 10 pages in, to be honest, but yeah, oh, sorry, my stomach is growling, it is lunch, but it's a very beautiful book. It does feel like reading a textbook, like when you're reading it and holding it, but here's the inside. It's got broken compass, some notes, that's definitely Edgar Allan Poe, a bullet, measuring tape. They got all sorts of stuff in here. And then there's the little bio, if you should be interested. Nothing really on the back. They just have some quotes, and then a guy down here is clearly investigating something. I've heard this book is very divisive, and people either love it or they hate it. I'm hoping that I'm a person who loves it. Okay. So that's House of Leaves, that's the first one, and that's the one I'm currently reading. I am not sure how long this beast is going to take me, but I'm hoping to be done with it by the end of the month. We will see. Okay, the next one is also a horror book. This is The September House by Carissa Orlando. You can survive anything. I've heard that this is a pretty cozy horror book, if that's to be believed. But I've also heard people say that it scared the crap out of them, so we shall see. It's got a pretty cover, little 3D house there. lot of red. You can see some wallpaper print up here. The September house. Yeah, so let's see what it looks like. Without the slipcover. Just a September house embossed in silver. There's some dents in this one. Got beat up in shipping, I think. Okay, not much to say about this one. I believe it's a haunted house story. Shocking, I know. But yeah, the September house. I'm so sorry if you can hear my dog scratching. She is old and makes a lot of noise, but she's cute, so she gets a pass. Alright, the next one I got is a bit of a different genre. This is The Bone Season by Samantha Shannon. I love Samantha Shannon. She wrote The Priory of the Orange Tree, and I love The Priory of the Orange Tree. Priory is a high fantasy book, and I believe this is also this is her completed series. Priory of the Orange Tree is a standalone book, but I believe this is sort of like a sci-fi fantasy situation. There's the blurb. Should you want to read it? One of my friends really likes this series, so I'm gonna trust her on that and give it a shot myself. Here's anything cool. Since it's a fantasy book, one of the things about me is that if it's a fantasy book, there better be a map in the front, and I'm gonna judge based on how intricate the map is. I've seen a lot of books where it's just sort of like a blob, and then they're like, that's the continent or the city or something, and it's just not as exciting or creative. So here we have Oxford, the Lost City, and here's the map for this. Obviously I don't know anything about this yet, so I can't express anywhere that's potentially important. And then here's another one, the Lamplit District. This is great. The little key up here, let you know where everything is. That's the last map, but really pretty art is in here. It's really nice. So looking forward to this. As with all of Samantha Shannon books, it's pretty beefy. This one is what? It's about $5.90. This one. House of Leaves, I think, is almost 800 pages. So I really didn't do myself any favors. Actually, the rest of almost 2 of the other books I got are also very big. So I really got to get cracking on these. Okay. All right. The next one is another fantasy book. This is The Rage of Dragons Dragons by Evan Winter. This is one I have just heard a lot about on Book Talk, actually. And I believe this was a self-published book. Yeah, a self-published sensation. But it's easily taken over, like fantasy Book Talk anyway. As I think this is like a very violent, high fantasy book. But I absolutely love A Song of Ice and Fire. So I think this will be right up my alley. Yeah, they mentioned it's like Game of Thrones, so. Looks like we've got some like family lineages stuff in the back, which is helpful when there's a lot of characters. Shall we see if there's a map? And here we go. There you go. Alright. So this is clearly some sort of issue over here, since it's called The Curse. But it looks like most of the action is going to take place over in this sort of peninsula area. That's great. It's a pretty good map. It's not exactly the most exciting terrain, but frankly, I like this one. I like the way they've drawn the waves. I think that's cool. Alright, so that's The Rage of Dragons by Evan Winter. It's a gripping tale, so we'll do some gripping. Okay, the second to last one. Another fantasy book. Hold on to your hats. Here is The Sword of Kaigen, a Theonite war story by M.L. Wong. Better to die sharp in war than rust through a time of peace. Damn, okay. Yeah, this is supposed to be the Poppy War meets The Last Airbender. I love The Last Airbender. It's probably one of my top 5 TV shows ever made. So excited about that. I do believe people have elemental powers in some capacity. But this is a standalone book. I believe The Rage of Dragons is not. But this is a standalone fantasy book, which is so hard to come by. So excited to be able to sink into this story and then not have to read 8 other books afterwards. Don't get me wrong, I love a long fantasy series, but I mean, I'm already waiting for George R.R. Martin to finish A Song of Ice and Fire. And there's so many other fantasy series that are still, being written that I do enjoy. So it's nice to have one that you could just sort of one and done it. And this one is supposed to be incredible. So I'm really excited to get into it and see what it's about. It's supposed to be brutal though. So heads up on that. Let's see if there's a map. If you guys like any of this, the map stuff, maybe I'll go over them after I've read them or go through them in fantasy books that I've already read. I do really like the tracing and, reading the names and explaining the places. So let me know if that would interest you guys, talking about a fantasy place that I actually know about with the map from a book. So it looks like the planet we're on is Duna. And then here's Kagan proper, which seems to be, it's probably a nation state. And these are the areas in it. information about the type of elemental magic people can have, and then I guess sort of the structure of who's in charge. That's actually really helpful. Wow. I like that a lot. Yeah. So, that's the sort of Kaiken. Really excited to get to that one, but we'll out into the last book now. Now, this one I have already read. It is Pen Pal by Dathan Auerbach. This is a psychological horror novel. It actually came from the No Sleep subreddit. People liked the stories so much he published them. It's pretty popular, I believe, in the horror sphere. It's a real quick read. It's only, I think, like 240 pages. Yeah, there's some stuff at the end. But it is a really good one. There's some parts that are kind of slow, but for the most part, this was a really gripping read, and I read it in a day and a half. The premise is that there's this boy who, for a school project, sets a balloon with a note off into the air, and people are supposed to respond to the note by sending mail back to the school, and then obviously they get a pen pal from whoever finds the balloon. And this is about the sort of bizarre things that start to happen after his balloon gets a response. It's so much bigger than that. That's just like a really basic starting point. But it's very creepy. It's very emotional. I was near crying by the end. I really, really liked the ending. It's very sad. It's by no means a happy book. I wouldn't go into it with that attitude in mind, but it's definitely worth it if you're looking for a really compelling, spooky read. That's, not too long. So there's the little blurb on the back. The more I sit with this, I finished this last night, and the more I sit with it, the more I like it. Originally, I usually rank books out of 10. I don't do it on Goodreads or anything like that. It's just like a personal, on my calendar is where I put when I finish a book and what rating I give it, and I do it out of 10. Initially, I gave it like an 8.8, but now I think it might be like a 9.5 after I have sat with it for a little bit. Yeah, it's like a book that grows on you. So that's Pen Pal. Pretty great. Really pleased I got it and I read it. Highly recommend if you like spooky stuff. Okay, well, that'll be it. Those are, all of the books. But thank you guys so much for watching. I'm trying to be pretty, regular as I can with making these videos. I'm definitely sort of like sporadically making them anytime that my house is quiet. But hopefully you guys enjoyed this. Let me know if you have any suggestions for things you'd like